Gene Pass, Common Man program. This is one of those good news, bad news. We'll go with the bad news first. No Mark Rosen. He will not be with us today. No! He's got some kind of a crud. He went and saw Sheldon. And Sheldon gave him they called Z-Packs. Gave him some kind of a Z-Pack. Rosen was in here. I admonished him for coming in. Now, my guess is I think he had that nasty, deep cough last week as well. So he probably wasn't contagious anymore. But it's, dude, you already gave me COVID back in 2020 or 2021, whatever it was. You know. Remember when everybody went to the Wolves game?
Yes.
The height of COVID, and they're all in there in that playoff game. 18,000 people screaming at the top of their lungs, and every one of them left with COVID. So Rosen comes in.
Call it a super spreader event.
Yeah, so I got super spreaded. Though, the one thing that worked out is when I didn't get it horribly bad, and I got to do a week of shows from home. I'd do that. Would you work from home if they'd let you?
If I wasn't getting COVID, yes.
Yeah. No, forget. I'm just talking about right now. I'm talking about right now. If they said, Tenneby, you can just work from home.
The amount of time you'd save just on your commute alone?
Do you notice that I cleaned up my workspace? Did you see that right next to you where my desk is? Did you notice?
I did notice. I saw you put some pictures up.
Yep, it's the new me. I'm going to start showing up earlier, and I thought maybe you and I can bond a little bit in the morning. After the show, PA and Nordo spent a lot of time together in the studio talking about what happened and where they're going. Should we start doing like post? Can't even say.
I think 3 hours is enough.
Do you think maybe we should have these post-show, get-togethers over in either our little cubes over there and spend some time bonding and getting to know each other a little better and going over the show and see if we can improve it? You don't think that's a good idea, huh? Can I say this and don't take this wrong?
Yeah.
Feelings mutual. It's the last thing I want to do. I just can't imagine. To have a post-show meeting and then go over what you did. It's the same thing.
Noon go over the guests for the next day?
It never changes noon to 3. It's the same thing over and over and over again. I don't see how anybody can listen to that stuff from 12:30 to 1 o'clock and get anything from it or whatever he says. The good news is it's a Wild Wednesday here on the Fan, presented by Jim Beam. That's the official bourbon of your Minnesota Wild. We got tickets. We'll give them away a little bit later. Don't call now. Wild versus Colorado. That's tomorrow night's game?
That is tomorrow night.
So they're going to play Rado tomorrow.
We do have some breaking Wild news, by the way.
Okay. Good, bad, or indifferent?
Probably bad.
Okay.
Just because it's good for David Juracek. He has been called up from Iowa.
Okay.
Forward Devin Shore has been reassigned to Iowa. Probably bad news, though, because Brock Faber was injured last night.
Right.
So likely means he will not go tomorrow night.
Can you give me the name, rank, serial number? What do we need to know about your?
He's the one they traded from with Columbus and gave up basically their entire draft for. So,
can you give me a thumbnail sketch of strengths, weakness, what you know about him? Did you know much about him?
He's obviously very young,
right?
Because he was just drafted a couple years ago. He is monstrous. He's a big, tall, lanky,
6'4",
right shot defenseman.
Yeah.
He's an offensive defenseman who needs to polish up the defensive side of his game a little bit. If there's, I guess, if you have something bad to say about him, it would be maybe his feet are a little slow. So, but we'll probably get to see him tomorrow night and get our first look at him. And hey, it's your first game. Why don't you go take on Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar and the Colorado Avalanche? See what you got, kid.
He's an offensive defenseman, did you say, that needs work on his D? How does that happen? How do you, if you're a defenseman, you're a defenseman even though he's better at offense? Is it just because he's not good enough at offense to be a wing too big? So it's like, well, he's got to be a defenseman. He's going to play. He's got skills. He's just got to polish up on his... I don't understand. Maybe you can explain it to me. See what I'm trying to say?
You're wondering why a guy that great offensively is not playing forward.
Yeah. Is it because he's too big?
I would say playing forward and playing defenseman are two different completely positions, right? At defense...
You're skating backwards.
Well, but even on the offensive side of things, right?
Yeah.
Even on the offensive side of things, the play is always all in front of you. right? You've got everything in front of your eyes. As a forward or a wing or a center in the offensive zone, it's a lot of plays behind you. You got to look to the side.
Right,
you're playing in small little tight areas with a lot of traffic. Defensemen usually playing with more open space. So, some players just like having everything in front of them, can see the ice better that way. Some people like Kaprizov and Zuccarello have eyes in the back of their head and can make plays that way.
Yeah.
It's also a different type of skating too, right? Like an offensive defenseman, you're skating, you're walking the blue line, you're skating laterally, you're skating backwards while you have the puck. And those are skills that aren't necessarily the same skills you're using for forwards.
Maybe you mentioned this already. He's young, so how much NHL experience does he have? Does he have much? Has he played at all?
He's only played like 13. I can get the exact number, but he's only played 13, 14. I felt like he played a decent amount of last year.
Okay.
But did not play a lot this year. He's at 53 career games, so he played.
All right.
He played 4 in 2022, 2023. He played 43 games last year, had a goal and 9 assists. This year, he just played 6 and then got sent down to their AHL affiliate before they traded him.
You know what the NBA equivalent of Vikings Lions is, Tennessee? Thunder Cavaliers, 30-5 versus 31-4 tonight.
Something's got to give.
I would think so. OKC is currently on a 15-game heater. They've won 15 games in a row. Is that enough to get me to turn the TV on? My guess is it's got to be on TNT so we can watch Shaq.
Shaq, where you
the
at?
Jet and Chuck. Because then I think I might give it a chance, but otherwise I just don't know if I can do it. But getting a lot of suggestions on a nickname for Ant, by the way. To add to he can't just be Ant. He wasn't just rebound. He was round mound to rebound.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't just stifle or tower. He was the stifle tower. He wasn't. Did Kimi Mutombo have a nickname? I guess they just call him Durantula. He's just got one. But Durantula is a lot longer than Ant. You got 3 syllables.
Yeah.
Durantula. 4. Durantula. So it's a little bit longer there. But I've gotten a lot of them. Some of them can't be used on the radio. So we'll just skip those. We won't get to those. We'll probably pass on those. I looked at Fish Wrap Factory West Side. Lavelle Column III, good friend of the radio station and the Grum. He wrote a piece, Tennessee, it says, "Relax, Viking fans. It's going to be fine. Vikings fans need to accelerate through the 5 stages of the grief process, arrive at the meaning of it all, and get right in time for Monday night's playoff game with the Rams." Then he goes to list 5 different reasons as to why we should keep a stiff upper lip. For instance, that last game, it wasn't the playoffs. Number 2, follow the coach's lead. The coach has said, quote, "I think we can use the experience of Sunday to make sure that we can have immediate improvement in total reflection and understanding personal responsibility of what took place, but it was just one football game." He says Sam needed to go through it. The lights the brightest, he broke out in a flop sweat, missed receivers, held onto the ball too long. At times he paid the price, but it doesn't tarnish what has been an amazing season for him unless it happens again. Now he's experienced what it's like to perform or not perform in a high-stakes game. Monday is his time to show he's better off for the experience. Lions are not 22 points better than the Vikings. Sometimes when 2 good opponents meet each other, one difference can lead to a lopsided outcome. While Darnold had a clunker behind center, everyone on offense has to take responsibility for the waves and waves of pressure Darnold faced. Better protection, recognizing the hot read and getting the ball to the player, shorter routes so Darnold doesn't get steamrolled. And then you want a rematch. You want to face him again. And it's sort of like when you get thrown from a horse, Tennessee, or you fall down on your bike, you're supposed to just get right back up and attack it again. But you know what I'm thinking, Tennessee? I'm not sure if Lavelle really believes any of that or if he's just saying that because he knows that's what his readers want to.
Trying to play, yeah.
I think he's playing to his readership.
He's playing to his, yeah.
He knows that because the fans are kind of down in the dumps, down in the mouth, disappointed to devastated about what happened, and in order to play to his audience, to get people to, I like Lavelle a lot. He's got the right attitude. He doesn't believe in any of that, but he writes, that's what people in the media do. I've been accused of it. I've been accused of suggesting that the Pohlads need to spend more money to make the team more competitive, and I was accused by Lavelle and Jim Souhan of playing to my audience. I couldn't possibly believe that nonsense. But I was playing to my audience because that's what they want to hear. Well, turnabout's fair play. If that's how you feel about... In other words, if you think that really happens, you must be guilty of it yourself. I say Lavelle E. Neal, guilty of trying to placate his audience. We'll break. We'll come back. Controversial Vikings news on the other side of the break here on The Fan. Couple 13-14 pass, Common Man program. I'm Common. He is Tennessee. You teased during the going out of the final break at the first segment, 534, you mentioned, I don't remember the exact tease, but it was something in relation to the Twins. Are the Pohlads going, gone, something like that.
Is it the end of the end of the end
yes,
for the Pohlads?
Basically. I think you're referring to a Dan Hayes who's been on this radio station before. He's been on with us. He also is a preposterous statement tournament champion.
Yes.
What was his again about? It's hard to get used to standing in
right field. It was after the pandemic.
Yeah.
They needed to have a spring training because they had to get used to standing in right field for 9 innings at a time.
I think he took it well. He handled it with aplomb, and we were delighted for that. But you sent me yesterday a tweet of his at Dan Hayes MLB source. Hashtag Minnesota Twins could have a new ownership group in place by opening day because of a robust market of potential buyers. Now, if you'll remember, Tennessee, when the Twins first released, I saved the news statement because it's historic. I'm going to frame it someday, along with my Pohlad. I got a penny that's pinched by Jim Pohlad. He actually pinched it. I'm going to put it in a commemorative frame. I know I saved it. Where is it? Oh, boy. It's here somewhere. I'll keep looking for it. But after the Twins announced that they were selling the team, a couple of weeks after that announcement, they had the intent to explore selling the team. They said, well, it's probably not going to happen by opening day. It's going to take a while. You got to field offers, due diligence, approved by Major League Baseball owners. So it's not something it's not like Tennessee working with the Pomerleau team at J.P. William Realty Twin Cities, where you you post your home for sale and it's gone the next day. It doesn't work that way with a team. 2 weeks ago or so, it was made public that the owners and their brothers, I think, one of them's the majority owner of the Phoenix Suns, and his brother's got another piece. But they're both they're their own men. They're not attached at the hip. They've made their fortunes, I think, in two different ways, and they're worth like 15 billion combined or something, with liquid cash, assets, whatever the case may be, investments. So they can obviously afford to buy the club. And, there was reporting on what kind of owners have they been in Phoenix, and apparently they're not afraid to spend money, right? They went out and they immediately went out and got Durant. I think, weren't they the ones that signed Durantula? I mean, they got very aggressive, and they want to win. They also did Didn't they announce recently that they cut concession prices, sort of like what Art Blank did in Atlanta, make it more affordable for people to come and watch a game? We're already charging, back in the day.
They also made it cheap to watch on television.
That's right. That's exactly right. There was a time, Tennessee, back in my day, you'd go to a game. It was expensive back then. It would cost you a pound of flesh and a pint of blood. Nowadays, you know what the cost of going to a game is? Arm and a leg. Thank you. I wonder who, it says the quote from, and it's in parentheses in Dan Hayes' tweet from a source, robust market. I know we know the definition of robust, but can you look it up anyways for two reasons? I want the exact definition, plus it helps kill an extra 30 seconds on an hour we don't have Mark Rosen.
Robust.
It has nothing to do with brassieres. Trust me.
Robust.
Strong and healthy, vigorous.
It's a strong, healthy, vigorous market for the Twins. So does that mean, I wonder how many, I know Michelle Bachmann from Stillwater. She was a United States, I think, senator at one time or representative. She once made the statement, the world is running out of rich people.
Yes.
I don't think we're running out of rich people that want to buy sports your whole life, just sports teams. They are everywhere. Robust market makes it seem to me. Now, what is that number? Is it two individuals or groups? Sometimes it's like with the Timberwolves, it's two guys, apparently. It's A-Rod and Peter Lorre. So I don't know how many groups that is, but I bet it could be upwards of 3, 4, maybe a half a dozen of people that say it would be fun to own a Major League Baseball team, right? You can't lose. You can lose games on the field.
Yes.
But unless I'm mistaken, I don't think there are any team, maybe in the olden days, but certainly not now. There's no team that drops in value. Is there where it's like, that team when you bought it was worth $1.2 billion. Now it's worth $900,486,232.15. It's just
there's no team that just slightly goes up in value.
Yeah, right. It's like you buy it and it's just, and then when you bamboozle whatever state your team is located, and you bamboozle the state legislature to help fund your new, because you can't survive without a new stadium. We just can't. Can't be competitive without one. This place isn't any good. This is terrible. We need a new stadium, and then we foot half the bill. And as soon as the stadium, they break ground for it, price of the franchise goes up because everybody knows that now you will accumulate even more dollars because you have a brand spanking new stadium to not only host your games, but the smart part is, that's why, the teams always, and maybe somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, because Tennessee, I'm not really good with finances. As a matter of fact, can I tell you something?
Yeah.
That you can keep to yourself?
Sure.
My checking account's down to $65,000.
Really? Do you need help?
No, I'll be all right. I mean,
okay. Well, let me know. I'm here for you.
Loan, buddy, can you loan me a dime? Rosen paid off his bet yesterday.
Did he?
Yeah. Came in with a $10 bill, so you got $2. I played dumb. What's that for? He goes, well, we made a bet. And I don't think he would have brought it up, except Power Trip Bets posted it.
God bless Power Trip Bets.
Because I'd forgotten all about it. I'd bet the Lions would win the division. He said the Vikings would. So I got money. So he did pay off.
Came down to the wire, though.
It did come down to the wire. But, so tell me if this is wrong, if this makes sense, Tennessee, and if someone out there that's better with finances and stadium financing. And what is TIF?
TIF?
Yeah.
Like, how is he spelling that?
TIF. It's an acronym for something increment financing or something like that. They always throw that acronym around.
Tax increment financing?
Yeah. That's always thrown. That's part of the whole thing. There's all these different acronyms, and it's a shell game is what it is. But you do your tax increment financing, and you do your You do your electronic pull tabs to help finance the stadium and do this and that. And the ownership always goes, we'll pay for half. And everybody goes, wow. Be nice if they paid for all of it, but they're willing to pay for half. That's it. Well, I think the reason they do that, because if they don't own any of the stadium, well, then they don't get any of the profits from game. You know, like if Luke Bryan or Alabama or Toby Keith's dead. Concerts come to town. The Wolves get a portion of those proceeds, right? Don't they? They own half the stadium. Yeah. If they didn't own any of the stadium, they wouldn't get any of that money. So I don't think they're just doing it out of the goodness of their heart. And God bless the Wolves. We love them. And maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe somebody that understands that could correct me on that. But there are so many other events that take place there. It's not just, 7 or 8 regular season, or is it 8 or 9? 8 or 9 regular season football games, a preseason 1 or 2, and then, a couple of tractor pulls and a couple of demolition derbies. That thing's doing big business all the time. So I don't know who those people would be. I've heard rumors that they're, Rosen's heard rumors. I've heard rumors about certain individuals or groups who might want to throw their hat into the ring, but source told Dan Hayes, hashtag Minnesota Twins could have a new ownership group in place by opening day because of a robust market of potential buyers. Controversial Vikings news to wrap up the show. That's next. Common Man program on the Fan. Metallica, Vomiting Rats, and Pharaoh Ant. XL Energy, Saturday, January 27th. Be there, aloha. Before I do the giveaway, Teneby, text message. Comment, you are very wrong about who owns the stadium. The Wolves do not get a cut. The stadium is owned by a public body, which is a subdivision of the state of Minnesota. Chair members are appointed by the governor. So I said I didn't know. I said that's what I assumed. I said maybe somebody can help me. Not to just come down on me. You're very wrong. I said I would assume. That's what that's why you want to invest on half the stadium. If they don't, why wouldn't they get part? If they paid for half that stadium, and there's a concert, why wouldn't they get half the revenue?
Percentage of it? Yeah,
would only make sense to me.
So for Vikings game,
yeah,
I assume the Wolves got all the gate, so therefore, whatever this entity is, they get part of the gate then, or they get all the gate?
I don't know. Yeah, that's what I don't know. Tennessee, let's say you weren't married, you were down on your luck, and you were down on your luck, and you needed a place to stay.
Yeah,
and I rented you a spare bedroom and charged you for it. I'd keep the money. I own the house, or half of it. It only makes sense to me. That's what I'd do. I don't understand finances, though. I really don't. I was bitter when they made me do self when you had direct deposit. That was years ago. From now on, an email came out. From now on, by the way, was that a complaint, compliment, concern, comment, question, 5 C's?
That was someone asking if we'd given away the tickets yet.
Oh, let's do it right now.
Yeah.
Let's give them away. Pair of Wild tickets. It's a Wild Wednesday, 11th caller. Wild Wednesday here on the Fan, presented by Jim Beam, the official bourbon of your Minnesota Wild. We've got your tickets to see the action tonight. Be the 11th caller and win a pair of those tickets to see the game tonight against Colorado, or tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night against the Colorado Avalanche. Call now. 1-800-320-5326. 1-800-320-5326. Your 11th caller will be a winner of Wild tickets from the Wild, Jim Beam, and all of us here at the Fan. This is breaking news. and it's a major announcement. Paul Lambert, a.k.a. Meat Sauce, new father. He is lifting his self-imposed exile of stand-up comedy, and he will join the common man, Larry Mondello Guy, and Colleen Justice for Flop, Sweat, and Tears at the New Hope Cinema Grill a week from this Friday.
Oh my gosh. Above average at that.
Think of all the new material I think he'll have a bunch of new daddy baby material. So he agreed. He was going to take some time off. He said, I won't be available for stand-up comedy between the middle of December and the middle of February because I got to be at home on paternity leave. Then I think he finally figured out that the mom does all the work. It's just like, I don't even need to be there. Like, he comes in for the show. I thought he was going to be off until the middle of February from the show, too. Helping mom out, watching Scotty grow. But so he will be there. Tickets are available. We're going to give some away next week. We'll give away pairs of tickets next week. But tickets are available. That's a hell of a show. Colleen Justice is really funny. We've worked with her before. And so it's not just going to be testosterone-fueled comedy. There'll be some estrogen there, too. Did I get the right? Is it testosterone and estrogen? So, testosterone and estrogen live at the Bullseye, February 4th. Get your tickets now today at Ticketmaster. What was I saying? Oh, Shamit's also be there, so we're really excited about that. Kennedy and I addressed this, I think, right away at the top of this 2 o'clock hour. But this is the latest from CBS Sports in regards to the wildfire situation in Los Angeles and how it may affect Vikings-Rams, a wild card playoff game this upcoming Monday night. This is a story from Brian Diardo. Headline, NFL monitoring, that's in quotes, monitoring LA wildfires with Vikings-Rams wild card playoff game looming. It's looming. The NFL is monitoring the California wildfires that have taken the lives of at least 2 people and have forced tens of thousands of people to evacuate their homes across LA County. Rams are currently slated to host the Vikings NFC wildcard round, which is located at SoFi, which is located in Inglewood. Brian McCarthy is a spokesperson for the National Football League. He says the NFL continues to closely monitor developments and will remain in contact with both clubs and the NFLPA. End of the quote. League has a recent history of moving the location of a game due to weather-based circumstances. In 2022, the Browns and Bills played at Detroit's Ford Field due to a winter storm with lake effect snow that was slated to hit the Buffalo area prior to kickoff. Last January, the NFL postponed the Steelers-Bills wild card game one day after a heavy snowstorm hit the Buffalo area. They don't mention there was another weather-related game that was moved. The Vikings, right?
Yeah.
In the Metrodome collapse. And we had to play Philly on a Tuesday night. I think
was that the one in Detroit?
I think so. I think to this day, it's the only Tuesday night game in the history of pro football. But then again, I don't even know how the stadium ownership works. I would assume if you own half the stadium and they book a Toby Keith concert, you're getting half the proceeds from the Toby Keith concert.
That makes sense.
That's what I would have thought. But apparently I'm told you were really wrong. You are very wrong. I wasn't just wrong, Tenneby. I was very wrong. All right, sorry. Don't bite my head off. You don't have to come down on me. I admit it. I don't know. Just some speculation. Speculation. Given the current situation in L.A., it's safe to assume the NFL is looking into alternative stadium options for Monday night. The Rams earned a home playoff game by virtue of being the NFC West champs. This is a developing story. And as you mentioned, you said Lieber suggested he thought it could be Arizona. I've heard also Las Vegas, Dallas, and there's a lot of places you could play the game that aren't too far off the beaten path. If they open it up, So how would they open up ticket sales? Would they give Rams fans the opportunity to buy like almost all of them because they are the home
I would
team?
think if you currently own a ticket, you'd have first.
Right. Okay. Right.
You obviously got to figure out travel, which would be a little dicey, but
that tea and crumpets crowd, no, that would be England. What do they call the LA crowd? The champagne and caviar crowd. Yeah.
the Rodeo Drive crowd.
The champagne and caviar crowd. They're travel to watch the Rams. No thanks. Give my tickets away to some poor, undeserving soul. I think if they move that game, it will be 85% Viking fans. Because we travel well. We travel well. Because there's a lot of Rams fans.
Even in LA, I'm sure there would have been a lot of Vikings fans.
Yes.
Those LA, they don't really have the homer crowds. By the way, I was on the phone when you were beginning this segment, so I don't know if you talked about this or not, but the LA Kings game tonight against Calgary has been postponed.
Oh, really? Okay, well, that only makes sense. So, and I had not mentioned that, so there you go. Well, here's what he says. I don't think the Vikings game that was moved was a playoff game, though. That may be why it was not included.
Oh, those are just playoff games?
I guess. But it still isn't, you could, I don't know how many other times, if other than that Vikings game when the roof collapsed, if there were other games.
I'm sure there's been like hurricanes or something like that.
Yeah, that's probably the case. I think you probably...
Because even the Tampa Bay Rays have to move all their home games this summer because of the damage to their stadium.
That's correct. There's probably a lot of examples. Here's another Brian Diardo story. This Brian character is busy. He must write NFL for CBS Sports, and he's on double time. Bill Belichick has no plans on returning to NFL despite Tom Brady reaching out about Raiders job.
Oh my gosh.
Because Brady owns a small portion of the Radiators, right? I remember reading when did he have the contract with CBS? Is it CBS or Fox he's with?
He's a Fox guy.
Did he have the contract with Fox before he became a minority owner?
I believe that is correct.
Isn't there a conflict of interest there? I know that was talked about, but I think people, is it because it's Brady? We're going to ignore it?
I think because he was part owner of the team. So then like when it comes to meetings with other team, your television production meetings before games, you talk to the coaches.
Okay.
What's your strategy for this? And try to get all the inside information. I think they kind of just like banned him from going to those.
Okay. All right.
Which makes it harder to do your broadcasting job, but
maybe that's why he's been so bad. Tom Brady and Bill Belichick won a record 6 big games during their time. Brady's reportedly looked into the possible reunion. Multiple NFL teams have inquired about whether Belichick would consider stepping down from his recently acquired post as North Carolina's head football coach. But apparently, Belichick said, I didn't come here to leave. I would hope not. I mean, that would be the quickest departure of any coach in the history of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, because how long ago did he agree to the deal?
A week or two ago,
A week or two? 6, 7 days ago, 8 days ago? Hey, I got second thoughts. Got a better deal going to the NFL.
Well, I figured when he agreed to the contract with North Carolina, that's because he had no NFL offers. And he knew he was not going to have any NFL offers.
Or maybe he was trying to speed up the process. In other words, get ahead of the game.
Get some leverage going.
Well, yeah, especially get ahead of the game, too, before all the openings do become official and coaches start interviewing for him. So maybe he could have the pick of the litter. Do you think that Belichick... I think he's overrated. I'm sorry, man. What did he do when Tom Brady left? Coached the worst team in pro football. Did they ever have a winning record under him? Is he really that good?
I think he's a great defensive coach.
Yeah.
He won, 2 big games with the Giants as a defensive coordinator?
He did. You're right.
And through all those Brady years, they had some pretty darn good defenses in New England. I think he's a great defensive coach that had a Hall of Fame quarterback, and you merge it together, and it's you make beautiful music together.
Why would I be so hard on Belichick? Call him overrated. I do think it's when you and I have had this conversation many times about what's more important, chicken or egg, and I'm the egg. I think the quarterback has got more to do with it. But
I mean, to your point, though, I think many view like Bill Belichick as the greatest coach of all time, and I could tell you what, I think Andy Reid might be better.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. And
KOC is probably better.
Most people in this town would already say he's the greatest coach that's ever coached the game. So, looking at some of the.
By the way, your guy Fitzmagic, I forgot to send this to you. Kind of destroyed Flores a little bit.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, Fitzmagic has like a podcast, or maybe he was on a podcast, or he hosts a podcast, and was talking about the New England opening and talking about Flores, because he played for Flores in Miami.
Yeah.
He made it seem like Flores, he's like, well, it depends on what Brian Flores you're going to get. He said when he started off, he was great. And then as it went along, it sounded like he kept using the dictator word, where it's like, it's his world, nobody else's world. He's not a big collaborator kind of guy.
Well,
because he did the old, when Flores goes into a room to interview with someone for a job, an owner, tell me which of his assistant coaches are going to be a reference for him. That's basically what he said.
Ooh. Well, didn't Tua have some unsavory things to say about him as well?
Yeah. Maybe Flores just got a little Zimmer in him.
Do you know?
Thinking along with quarterbacks, he's just a defensive guy.
Do you know who Pete Prisco is?
I know the name, yeah. Is he CBS?
Yeah, works for CBS Sports. He's plugged in. I like his style and his flair. He did, of course, this is just one man's predictions. He says Ravens over Steelers 24-19. I don't know about the score, but I do think the Ravens beat the Steelers. Steelers they've been on a...
They've lost 4 in a row.
Yeah,
they've played some good teams during that stretch, but still.
They've been on a swing.
I think one of them was Baltimore. They've been leaking oil.
Here's another prediction. He says, Eagles 20, Packers 23.
Oh my gosh.
He thinks the Packers are going to spring an upset against Philadelphia. He says both quarterbacks come in with injury issues. Hurts is in the concussion protocol, is expected to play. Love is an elbow injury, but also expected to play. How rusty will Hurts be after not playing in the final 2 weeks of the regular season and missing most of the game in Week 16? Packers have played a lot of good teams, close only to lose, including the Eagles. This week, I think Love gets the best of them. Upset special. I mean, I could see it.
Yeah.
But I'm still...
The quarterback health for Philadelphia is a little worrisome, I think. He's missed a couple weeks. Still in concussion protocol as of earlier this week. I haven't heard anything today.
And how about this prediction? Vikings 23, Rams 28.
Oh my gosh. Above average.
The Vikings didn't play well in the Sunday night loss to the Lions that cost them the number 1 seed. Now they face a Rams team that has had 15 days off. Oh, he didn't write that. I just threw that in there.
2 weeks off.
Who had 2 weeks off. He says, now they face a Rams team that rested a lot of key players last week. Sam Darnold needs to respond after a poor showing. The problem is the Rams' defensive front can get after him. Matty Stafford will be challenged by the Brian Flores defense, but I think he'll make enough plays to pull off the upset. And the Rams are the underdogs going into that game. The Vikings are a slight favorite. And so... well,
and in that first game against the Rams, the Rams pressure did get after Darnold pretty good.
They did.
That was an issue in that game.
Then Pete...
That was the game... Did Darisaw get hurt for the season in that game? And yeah, that was the game he got knocked out, yeah.
Then one more for you, Teneby, from Peter Prisco. 2024 NFL quarterback power rankings of teams that are in the playoffs. Mahomes at 1, Lamar Jackson at 2, Josh Allen at 3, Jared Goff at 4, Matty Stafford, 5. Jalen Hurts at 6. Jaden Daniels at 7. Baker Mayfield at 8. Jordan Love at 9. Justin Herbert at 10.
Wow.
Sam Darnold at 11.
Who did we beat out?
Bo Nix, C.J. Stroud, and Russ Wilson. The Knicks kid's played pretty well, though, hasn't he? Overall, right?
Yeah.
Here's what he says about Sam. How much do we weigh his 9-game winning streak in which he gave the Vikings legitimate top 10 productions as the fearless distributor for Kevin O'Connell's offense versus his regular season finale in which the heat of the moment appeared to sap him of his trademark touch? Darnold's got all the physical tools and playmakers to rebound for Minnesota, but if his line isn't sturdy, his mechanics and poise are liable to dip again. His future in purple may depend on his next move. And that's, I think, really is at the crux of this, Tenneby, as we've been discussing ever since, really for most of the season, but particularly coming off of that, I guess you could call it a dreadful performance on Sunday. Can he rebound and get back to the kind of player he was during that 9-game winning streak? Someone sarcastically, I can't find the text now, but he basically said, yeah, Sam Darnold's never played in a 60, 70,000 stadium full of people before. He's never played an NFL game. But it's the difference of the circumstance. Playing in week 1, week 2, week 4, playing a lesser team. It's human nature. There's going to be, when there's so much more at stake, the final game of the regular season, the number 1 seed, the championship on the line, on the road, at home.
Everyone's watching you.
Yeah, it's just different. It just is. Everybody plays differently. I do think it's safe to say that players that have, the Tom Brady's of the world, the players that have played in those situations, Pat Mahomes, they're better at it. They handle it better. They're not as jacked about it. They don't. I think Darnold will play well. I just still don't know if that's going to be enough for the Vikings to win. The Rams are a good team. I think it's a pick-em game. I really do. We'll talk more about it tomorrow on a Thursday. Mark Rosen should be back. Tenneby, thanks for having me.
Hey, great job.
You as well. I enjoyed our visit with you today. I think Tenneby did as well. Thanks for all your contributions on the talkback and the texting. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 12 noon. Stick around. Big Ticket, JG, they're next year on The Fan.
Adios, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen. Good night.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Minnesota!
And good night, folks. And good night, Mrs. Calabash. Wherever you are.
Timberwolves superfan KFAN Stan Barrero.
Listen back to any of Common Man's programs by podcasting on the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.